From Mediaite, Trump cancels work permits for over 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
That's how you do.
That to me sounds like a good idea.
That was a bogus plan by Biden.
The Department of Homeland Security revoked work and resident permits for hundreds of thousands of migrants on Thursday, according to a CNN report. A notice sent by email to Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan nationals demands that migrants vacate the country immediately, stating that failure to do so may result in involuntary detention. This notice informs you that your parole is now terminated. A copy of the notice obtained by CNN reads, "If you do not leave, you may be subject to enforcement actions, including but not limited to detention and removal without an opportunity to make personal arrangements and return to your country in an orderly manner." The termination of the Biden-era parole program that granted legal working status to an estimated 530,000 migrants from these four countries has long been a goal of the Trump administration. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to end the program on his first day in office, one of many steps taken to achieve the president's campaign promise of mass deportation. I mean, look, 500,000 is a nice start.
Dude.
Again, if we go back to what, we were just going back and forth about.
Back and forth.
This era. This Biden disaster, right? We agree here?
Yeah, we agree.
Okay. So they got to fly in. They got to make reservations. And part of that application was you get to work immediately. And then you get temporary protective status and all of this.
Yep.
100% you're gone. Done. Revoked. Get out. $500,000. Okay. $500,000's a huge move. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Going back again. Before this disaster, and we could kind of put up with it, and we were getting our shit together, and let's put up a wall and come in the right way. We still had David out there picking the grass. Okay, we can deal with you, dude, right? But I see, I'm not trying to argue what you want or if it's right or anything, but I see him actually being consistent and keeping his word, because he didn't say, man, if you work on a grape farm and you've been here since 1999, you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, to the extent, like, I don't think it's inconsistent to say that getting these 500,000 out is a top priority, whereas getting out, to use your phrase, like the grape pickers who moved to Central California in 98 is not the priority. Now, it is my opinion that the grape picker who's still here breaking the law every single day should go, but we can have a prudential conversation about what's the number one priority right now. I think this is the right move. Look, this is interesting. When I was a deputy at the Texas Attorney General's office several years ago, during the Biden era. Actually, this decision by the Biden administration is something that myself and Attorney General Paxton sued on. And there was this whole theme of cases where the Biden administration would issue blanket what's called parole. So parole is a legal immigration concept that is supposed to be used on a case-by-case basis. So you've got immigration authorities who, in extraordinary circumstances, can issue sort of what's called parole. It's like, look, this is outside the norm, but there's exigent circumstances. Yes, you can come over here, but you need to stay in the cell. You're getting to connect yourself with family. And so parole, think of parole as something that has always historically been used as a one by one, onesie here, twosie there, whatever. What Biden then did is he just blanket paroled tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands all at once, which eviscerated the legal concept of parole. What it was it turned parole and amnesty, which are supposed to be very rare, one-to-one type things, into just amnesty. Right? And so
I agree.
What happened here, so we actually sued.
It was a lie.
It's a total lie. And they knew
if
exactly
I
what
could
they were
give
doing.
the dumb guy version, dude, you should call me up. I'll give you some free advice on the camera. Here's the dumb guy version of parole. When you claim amnesty, you walk in this country, amnesty, right? We've signed international courts. Okay, amnesty, asylum, you need asylum. Here's what happens to you. You get locked up. You are sitting in a cell. A nice cell, an American cell. Some of the best cells, great cells, terrific cells. I know builders. You're supposed to sit in a cell until you see the immigration judge. Usually took, on average, 35 days. You got parole so you could leave to go get your heart fixed or your blood pressure dropped. You get to leave the cell and go to the hospital, and then you got to come back.
That's right.
That's what parole was. But Biden went like this. Come on in.
Now
There's no
just go
jail
home.
cell for you. Parole will get to you in 8 years.
You can think of these concepts even in like a law enforcement, right? Where like, I'm on parole, right? An individual,
The old Epstein shit.
right? Like an alleged defendant is out on parole. Or criminals out on parole under certain circumstances and terms. Those terms are very customized. They are personalized. They are individualized. They apply only to that person. It's made on a case-by-case basis in coordination with the judge, a parole officer, the police department, and the prosecution.
And it's not like parole getting out of the state pen.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that kind.
Right. So this is absolutely. So even though when I was at the Texas AG's office, we litigated stuff like this. Thank God President Trump wins in 2024, and all he's doing is just unraveling something that was manifestly illegal in the first place. But I think so this is good. Like, this is something to be happy about. This is good. We see the leftist pro-illegal alien groups sort of weeping and gnashing their teeth over it. That's also sometimes an indication of whether something good is happening. But you look at the legal arguments that these groups made in court, and it again reveals the true nature of the liberal left and what they believe about this country, what they believe about the rule of law. And to see the left, the well-funded sort of legal nonprofit space, work in coordination with democratically appointed judges in blue jurisdictions with blue juries and blue communities, they are stopping at nothing. The litigation that these blue states and pro-illegal alien groups waged against Trump for doing something manifestly within the discretion of the President of the United States is just yet another reflection of the left's willingness to throw all principle out the door and just do whatever it takes to just stop and thwart the will of the American people.
So trust me you're a conservative, right?
Yes.
And you don't like the left. So don't trust me, but consider me as a reasonable centrist.
Okay.
That there's a pathway forward, that we can have a normalized country where people are working and providing things for each other, that we don't have to have this shit. But if we could magically get them all out tomorrow, you wouldn't eat. And not all immigrants are like picking grapes. Let's get that straight too. But
It's nothing but grapes. It's just
right, you know what I'm
grapes
saying?
everywhere.
Like, you have to. So much has been reconfigured in 30 years that you just can't get it done in a minute.
Yeah,
So I
know
actually
it's not
thought
done
Trump
with
was speaking reasonably. Maybe I'm wrong, but you don't have to hate me for it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm usually
hate you.
wrong.
No, I mean, I don't feel like there's any animosity for anyone sitting around the table. But I do think that, look, if there's a lot of people that think the more people are deported, the better, because they kind of take it for granted that you're not actually going to get rid of 21 million people. Right. Like, if you could get rid of, I think there's a lot of people out there that were like, look, if you made them an offer and said, look, we're not getting 21 million. Right. But we can get 6 million out. I think there's a lot of people that would feel like that's a victory. Personally, I would like to, I don't think that there should be, to me, there's no upper limit as to how many people that are here illegally is enough to move along. I do understand the argument, they've been here for 20 years and they've set up a life and et cetera. And I do think and I do think that that's a different context than people that have been here for 3, 4, 5 years. But at the same time, I don't think that there's any reason to say, well, you're here illegally, you've been here for a long time, so because you've been here for a long time, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah, right. That's not like a principled, like, consistently enforceable standard. Like, we've been here a long time exception to deportation. I can understand where we would make certain prudential considerations based upon feasibility, logistics, unintended second and third order of effects. But these are like prudential considerations. But on the principle, by which I distinguish prudence from principle, on the principle discussion, every single one of the 21 plus million people who are here illegally are in fact here illegally. and are therefore, under our duly enacted immigration laws, subject to deportation.
No argument from
And
me.
so, look, I think that your framing earlier was correct about like, well, you know, if we can't get all 21, let's just accept 6. And yeah, 6 is better than 0, right? But I don't accept the premise that we should immediately begin from a position of negotiating against ourselves or like erecting and I'm not saying you're suggesting it, right? But I acknowledge that weaker conservatives, Republicans with less willpower, are willing to begin the public policy discussion by just conceding that, well, 21 million we can't do that. That would be. Could you not only imagine the economic effects, but the optics would just be terrible. So therefore, we have to content ourselves with like a pittance.
I don't see that because
because
you're already seeing ICE at work. I mean, the first.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I know, but here, man, I'm jumping in. The first stroke was, all right, we're going to start deportation. We're going to get these guys. Now you just saw all the Border Patrol app people gone. That's the next move. You got to start talking about how you're going to reach a path of normalization. Let me look into your background. You paid taxes. You broke the law. You've been duly employed. Okay,
yeah, look,
there's
I get
no
that.
purity here, man. I'm tired of this one here too. No one is illegal. Okay. Yeah, but the shit people do is illegal.
We'll get to that in just a minute.
You know what I
like
mean?
being here illegally.
Let's get our immigration system together so this doesn't happen anymore. We can agree on that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's forward-looking.
No, we can't. Right? Like, so we can talk like we can agree, but the issues that we're having right now, or that we've been experiencing, they were directly in the face of what Americans wanted. No Americans wanted a total open border. No Americans wanted to ship in 20 million illegal immigrants, especially when the reason to ship them in was to bolster the numbers in places like California, where there have been a mass exodus of population, and they're looking to have these people in the census in 2030, so that way that enhances Democrats' chances of having
electoral success.
The congressional districts. So that's all dependent on the census, and this is a two-pronged attack on the existing Americans' voting power. If you can dilute the American people's voting power by changing the makeup of states and getting more congressional seats, California has 55 or something like that congressional seats because there's 36 million people in California or something like that. Yeah. And if they can get in an additional 5 or so million because of this, that could mean an additional 2. I don't know how many it is, but the point is, Democrats have been actively doing this. This isn't a situation where it's through no fault of anyone, at all. This is an active plan that the Democrats have been instituting between this particular issue and also things like the refugee resettlement program and the NGOs that were financing people's trips. So this is totally because of Democrats. So it's not
100% right.
We can't even get the immigration system in order going forward because of this divide, right? I totally agree with that. And then I submit to you, if we can't even get the rules applied all the time, how are we going to get everybody out?
Well, okay. So we're mixing two separate conversations, and I think it's causing a lack of clarity. There is the practical conversation about what can or cannot be done. Then there is the sort of more principled or ideological conversation about the nature of illegal immigration and the degree to which you enforce borders and so on and so forth. And I'm trying to treat these things separately. Yeah. On the one hand, I start from the principle that if 21 million aliens are here illegally, every single last one of them should be deported. That is just statutorily, legally correct. Then there's a separate conversation, which is, well, where do we start? From what states? What are the methods? Is it feasible or desirable to get all 21 million? Those are separate policy level conversations. And I'm just trying to detach the two.
We're all there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say that's great. You start in the classroom. I start from the streets and read the books at night when I go to bed. So I'm talking about the reality.
Yeah.
and not
Listen,
the principle.
okay.
I'm just telling you
got
that's the street, dude.
I have litigated immigration cases for several years. I have worked with Senator Cruz on passing border security legislation.
You gave us the resume.
And I was nominated to the Justice Department in part to work on a federal immigration law, and have partnered with Tom Homan and Kash Patel and Attorney General Bondi on working all these things.
I covered the border for 10 years.
Okay,
I worked in the world's biggest slaughterhouse. I worked in the world's biggest cannery. We're trying to share here and get someplace.
Right. So all I'm saying, and
by the way, Mary brought it up. Mary. In 2005, the Pew Foundation said there were 11 million illegal immigrants living in America. At the end of 2023, their latest study, after all the Biden stuff, there were 11 million illegal immigrants. So there was not one extra illegal immigrant in all of that time. And it's the conversations.
Yeah, so I'll finish my point that I was making earlier, which was what we have seen since President Trump was inaugurated on January 20th was a concerted, national, extremely well-funded lawfare campaign to thwart even just the beginnings of deportation operations, right? Like, we've deported, I think at this rate, like 175,000 people. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're at 200 by now, somewhere in that zone, right? And we're just now getting started. And it has been a monumental task to even just begin scratching the surface. And so I'm arguing that 20 plus million illegal aliens ought to, and do in fact under our United States laws, deserve to be deported. But to a point that was made earlier, I think you made this point, which was like, we can't even agree on the rules moving forward to deport them, because look at how difficult it is just to get 0.01% of them out of here. So it's tough. It's tough, but it takes political will to see it through.
And there are brains in the Trump administration, because I know people working this.
Okay.
They expected all that. All the theater of judge shopping and national injunctions, they were expecting it. As it was explained to me, here comes the rollout now. Here, what you're seeing now is the rollout.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.